Vanita, you can start now.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today we have Preeta Dutta in ELSA Connect. Preeta is a woman of many talents. She's a gardener, she's a journalist, she's an advertising executive, she's an Odissi dancer, and she's an entrepreneur. And she's all of this all at the same time. In fact, I joked with her a little earlier when I spoke with her to say that we need an ELSA Connect session with her on what she has not done and why. But for today, let us talk to Preeta about what she's currently doing. She's an entrepreneur and she has a company called Mirador Life. So, Preeta, over to you to talk about your journey with Mirador Life.
Thanks, Vanita. Yeah, I do. I mean, when you made me sound like this really exotic person, I'm sure all of us women do multiple things. We like Durga. In fact, if you come to my house, you can't see it right now. I have this wonderful, very old painting, which is called a Mata Di Pucheri, and I'll talk about it. It's with Durga with the 10 arms. And anyone who walks in says, "Is that you?" Because she's like got various things in her. But I think that's every woman and every ELSA woman. My journey has actually been pretty strange. When I was in school, I think I was 8, when I started dancing. And actually my aunt, my mother's sister, was a very famous Odissi dancer. And I don't know whether you've heard of this other classical form called Khatriya, which is from Assam. And she took me to see a performance by Kilichan Mahapatra, and we were going to go and meet him backstage. And throughout the journey, and I think maybe 24 hours before that, both of her, my mother and she, kept saying, "No, when you meet him, you do namaste. Please don't say hi and hello," which was the tendency that you did, no? So they just hammered this namaste to me from I don't know how long. So when I actually met Guruji, he came and says, "Hello." I think I did one full namaste with a flourish. And next day I was in his dance class. So I danced till, in fact, my LSR, I think MG remembered me last time when I met her, because I danced for my LSR interview. So, I had this dubious thing of joining LSR or joining Nityagram. And I came into Nityagram and then I ran away and joined LSR, and that's how the whole thing changed. So I had this dubious pleasure of actually enjoying and taking life and just meandering through life and seeing what takes me. I don't like to do something which I don't enjoy. It's all about, I know that's a word that is used a lot, but I really take it very seriously. It's passion. The day I think that, okay, I'm not enjoying it and it's just become a 9-to-5 job for me, and, I move on. So, I started my career. After LSR, I went to Sapphires and I did my communications. I did my post-graduation, and then joined TV18, Network 18, as a TV journalist. And that's when I realized that slowly, as I was working in IBR, and I realized that I actually preferred looking at the frame and checking that out and doing sets and being behind the scene than reporting. So I slowly moved into advertising. And I think that's where I really realized that I liked working with my hands. I liked building things. I liked painting walls, varnishing, stuff which most people hated. So I slowly got into the set department. Now, when I got into the set department part of it, there were just carpenters, and there were no really trained people. So I had to learn with them. And I think that was the basis of my entrepreneurial journey. Is when I started Mirador Life, I did not start it thinking that, you know what, I'm bored and I'm going to start a shop. And I actually worked with my hands. I actually made the couple of furniture. I still do. If you can see behind the frame, there's a blue cabinet, and that was one of the first pieces that I had actually made. And the mirror, it's done with twigs. So that was done in 1998. That was actually before I even started Mirador Life. So I actually have been doing stuff. And when I started building the furniture that I made, the very simple things that I realized that this is what I like doing. There is a market where people are looking at, stuff which is not the glitzy, shiny, or stuff that you get, which is expensive, or the very familiar dark wood. So I like color in my life. I like using eclectic pieces, and that's why I said, okay, let me take the and started my own thing. Of course, everyone thought I was one mad woman because I had huge amount. I was actually quite a decent student, and I was a good academics person. So when people from school ask me and they say, "What are you doing?" and I say, "I have a shop," they look at me in horror and they say, "Preeta's now become a shopkeeper," which is pretty much what I am. But it's a lot more behind that. So for me, the last Mirador has been 4 years. But what I have been trying to do is build a brand and build a concept which I have completely believe in, which is a sustainable lifestyle, which is a lifestyle which is how I got into gardening, because I believe that, the more you do things, like I try and incorporate everything that I do for the store in my house. So I grow the vegetables in my little pad. I don't have like I live in a villa, but it's not that I have massive, it's a gated community. So I have the same amount of space that everyone else does. So it's a way of rethinking the way you live, which is the way that I am wanting Mirador, like getting more sustainable stuff, using more natural products, growing your own vegetables, trying to see reuse, and I think that has really worked for me, especially during the COVID phase, because one of the things that I keep telling people, and it's that use one room for multiple things. Like, don't say, okay, this is my bedroom. My bedroom has always had like a desk in a place, a nook. So the spaces is what I like to, put together and, bring things together. So yeah, it's been, if you look at my entrepreneurial journey, it's just been a start. I'm still in the very, very nascent phase of it. It's been 4 years. But honestly, in the 4 years, I've had demonetization, I've had GST, and I've had COVID, and I've still grown. A lot of the stuff that I do on my own, because I'm still in the growth phase. And I think that's one of the reasons I had, in fact, just before COVID, I had investors coming, and I just said, okay, I'll hold on. And this is one of the luckiest things that had happened. Today, Mirador is just, I would say, 4 years old, but we have around 200,000, that's 200K followers on Instagram. Something that I did on my own, and I did it in pretty much 2.5 to 3 years. My blog is gone up to be the 7th most popular design blog that is on interior design in the country. And all this I do mainly not because I'm trying to sell furniture. I'm trying to promote some kind of a lifestyle. I'm trying to promote a concept of not only natural, as I said, it's mainly something called rethinking the way you live your life, whether it's not, I'm not saying it should be sustainable. Of course, it's not everything, but like moving away from like board, MDF, using stuff that, using reclaimed wood, using as like everything right now that you see in my house, if you can see anything, is all natural. I have baskets, I have, they've all been handmade. There is nothing which is not, which I have just, it's all been thought. It could be a 10 rupee thing or it could be something else. It's been handmade and put together for a particular reason. And I want to promote that kind of a lifestyle. Yeah, so that's basically been, I'm still continuing on the journey. And yeah, whether it's been easy for me, no. I think every day for any entrepreneur is a nightmare, because you wake up with everything. Every day there is a new story, every day it's a new lesson. But I think my background in being a producer and working as in sets really helps me, because it was pretty much that we were constantly thinking on the road every day when you're on a set. So and you're also dealing with, when you're on a set, and especially in the time that I was in the early 2000, late 1998, 96, 97, 98, there were very few women on the set. I mean, the women that were there were mainly the actors and actresses, and especially art department had very few women. So I was like sitting on sets at 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, maybe later, with some 50 strange carpenters and men, and I got used to dealing with that. So even now I'm dealing with, when people say, when they say, oh, it's very hard finding people and dealing with work, I say, I'm dealing with labor. Because whether it's like a carpenter, and you know how you deal when it happens when you're dealing with your local carpenter, right? They don't listen. Whatever happens, it's like they're on their own So that is the biggest nightmare for me, because they find it, sometimes I think, okay, if I was a man, maybe they would listen to me a little bit more, but no, I mean, I have to deal with it. I have to deal with it. So a large part of it, me, is dealing with trucks, logistics, carpenters, painters. And I think that lesson I learned in the film industry. And it's a hard one to, to actually, because it's not, if they're not educated, they have a different concept of values. If they believe in something else, it's how much respect you give them and how much, and they might, today they'll say something, tomorrow they'll lie in your face. And it's a relationship that you build out. But I'm okay. I have loyal people that have worked with me, and I have built it up. And though every third day I have to scream, and they say, okay, madam, pagal ho gayi hai, and then they come back. But that's the way it is. But looking at it, and I know a lot of people say, how do you deal with all these people? Because now I have my own factory. I run my own factory. I have a manufacturing unit in Bangalore, and we do stuff. So I have workers which we are making with. I'm not sitting and making everything on my own. But the good thing is that when all the factories shut, when all the migrants went back, when everybody was left with nobody, I had my entire team. No one left me. No one's left me still. They're still here. Right now, they're like saying, can we go home for Diwali? Because, we've not gone. And I'm saying, okay, you can go. And I think, I don't know why they stayed with me, because I know everybody, how it was. Everybody left. But mine, all 15, 20 of them were with me, and they're still holding on. So it's a complete, it's when you say about being an entrepreneur, and I think that's what Vanita wanted me to say, it's all it's a big lonely journey, and I think I manage it largely because my husband's an entrepreneur too, and so he helps whenever I feel really low, and that's very often, it's not an easy, I think a lot of when I look at it and I compare entrepreneur as a male and a female, and I'm generalizing here, maybe it's just me, I realize the difference between a woman and a man when we do something like that is that we take ourselves too seriously. At least I do. We hate failure, and everything that is seen as a failure, we take it as something against us personally. My husband will laugh and say, okay, next day we'll move on. Or he'll not take it as a personal, that I have let someone down while I do that. And that's something that I have to learn, because otherwise I won't grow. If I take everything as a personal thing, it becomes an issue. But I think that's a female issue, and maybe a lot from all of us from ELSA, who, we are all power people and we like to be correct all the time. So, so it's a lesson, it's a journey, and I wake up every day and say, okay, today I'm going to learn something new. And some days I'm completely disheartened, some days I'm really happy, but that's what keeps me going, because I think the person I am and is the person that keeps growing, because the day I stagnate and not learn anything, I might as well just sit at home and garden. Even that teaches you things, right? So the biggest influence for me in my journey has actually been not only the job that I've done, has been my mother. She's at 73. She's part of a NGO. She works with Crafts Council of India, and she's still working, and she's still helping, and she's still doing things. So every time I feel really let down, I call my mother up, and she just said, oh God, look at the weavers, it's flooded in Assam, they have got this, and then I feel back, all the things come back into perspective, and I continue again. So she never gives up. So between my mother and my husband, I sort of managed to pull myself up every day. And yes, someone, Vanita, you want me to say something else about?
Yes. No, please go on. But what I wanted to just say was, I'm looking at your screen, and the love of color and the love of decor shows up so beautifully on the screen. And it's fantastic that we are recording this so everybody can see it. That blue behind you, that green, your furniture and so on. And all of this, I'm pretty much sure that you've designed and you've kept behind you.
I love color. I completely love color, and that's one of my design ethos as well, because I think Indians love color. When we wear clothes, we are always in red, yellow, green, and we wear so much. And we're culturally colorful. But I don't know, I get really upset when I walk into some people's houses and it's all very brown. And, in fact, I just walked into my neighbor's house and she wants me to do it. She's a lawyer. And I said, I can walk into this house and I know you're a lawyer because everything is coordinated, brown and white. And so I just yell at her and says, okay, we're going to change this right now. And she's like, okay, slow steps, baby steps. But I don't know, for some reason, we're still very nascent when it comes to using color in our house. And I know it can be frightening for a lot of people, but I'm trying to break through that barrier and bring in, and I myself I am a very bohemian, colorful personality. So when you walk into my house, and that's the thing that I want when I design houses, when I design spaces, unlike other, I mean, I'm sure everyone does it, I actually like to know the person. I meet people, I actually find out what it is that they do, what is it, their house, you know, whether it's a house of like a single person, two, do they have kids, and design for their needs, design according to their, space, because otherwise it doesn't work. So for me, when I did my house, you walk into my house and you know, it's Preeta. I mean, many people have come and says, oh God, the baskets all over, it's Preeta, and I am a basket case. So, and that's what I want. Your personality should walk. Each house should be individual. Each house should say, okay, scream out your name. It should not be, okay, this is my house because I live in it. So and that's what makes the process a fun thing, when you're customizing it for the person, when you're getting to know, and I think my psychology there many years back helps, when you're getting to know the individual and you're saying, okay, this person lives with a dog, a cat, and has kids, and therefore you design accordingly and slowly move in, So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's very interesting that, you know, when you've been an artist. Okay, I didn't use that term. You've been an artist right through. You've been an Odissi dancer, and you know, you talked a lot about your advertising, which is actually craft. You talked about it as a form of craft, which is so interesting. And I actually wanted to ask you that, had you not done psychology at LSR, what would you have done?
As I said, it was a choice. I had to flip a coin between joining Nityagram and doing psychology. And it was quite a tough decision. In fact, when I didn't join, I had a very upset Guruji. I had a very upset mother. But my mother said that it's up to you, whatever you want to do. I think, too young to join Nityagram. I was just 18, and I didn't want to spend 5 years without having a college degree to back me up. And I danced through college. I think Chandrima, somebody who's in my thing, I just danced through college. I got hostel seat because I danced through in the interview, and I danced till I was in Sapphires. Once I started working, I think I let go of the dance scene, because of course you can't. And then I restarted when I came back to, I mean, I just dance for the fun of it. When I came back to Bangalore, I joined Madhulita and her troupe here for a year, but I realized that it was either I had to go back to dance as a professional dancer, or because I was neither a student nor a professional dancer, so what I did instead is I started teaching dance to there's a school behind us where we, in our community, we go and teach once a week and on Saturdays. So I teach there. I teach them any kind of dancing. They do folk, they do Odissi, they do just Bollywood. And I also teach the ladies in my community. So I continue doing that. So yes, if I hadn't done psychology, I think I would have been pretty much a dancer. But I think when I look at when I said I'm a life experiencer, and it's because I think everything that I like to experience life to its fullest. Even when I'm having my cup of tea, or even every dinner, I'm an anal person. I set it up. I set up my table for, even if it's my husband and me. And I think that every moment should be just enjoyed and done. And this COVID time actually has been great for a lot of for me, because a lot of people actually started following my philosophy, because you're not going out, right? So you've been sitting at home with your husband and child, and it can be really, I think, traumatic. But we've enjoyed it completely, because every little bit has been, every meal has been designed, and every little area has been put out, and so that it's not that, okay, we're just living for the heck of it. And that's how I look at life anyway. So yeah. Every time, and I think the main thing that I wanted to say is that other than my design and other than me as a store person, is that life every day when you become an entrepreneur, every day is like a challenge, and some of it you learn, some of you don't. Like last year, there was this just before Diwali, and I have to say this because it's quite hilarious. I had around 15 eunuchs and hijras that came to my store, and they demanded 1 lakh from me. and they refused to leave the store. And I had visitors in the store, and they were like, you know how they were, they're clapping and dancing, and this is, I want a lakh, and you want a lakh now, or are we going to start behaving really badly? And unfortunately, that was the time when I was in the store, and I was like, I'm not going to pay you a lakh to, I don't have that kind of money to just give it out. So they, you know how they are, they said, we're going to open our clothes and we're going to dance, and nangi, nachingi, and you know how they are, they just went mad. And I, you know, at one stage I thought, okay, let me just figure out how to give it. And then I was so angry that I said, listen, you want a job, I'll give you a job. You can start working with me today, you'll get a higher salary, but I'm not paying you. And I stood there and I screamed, and everyone on the road thought I was a lunatic. I mean, I became quite famous in that entire road, because there was me with some 15 hijras screaming, saying that I'm not paying you, because everyone else had, because just before Diwali, and you know how they are. And by the time my store had called people, and they had called help, and my accountant and CA, and they were like, madam, it's okay, we'll negotiate. And all, I said, now I'm not paying. So I said, I'll give a job or I'm not. And then, you know, after a point, I think they just said, okay, mad woman, they took some 20 rupees from me and they left. But I have realized is that there are times when you just give in. We say, okay, I cannot handle it, it's all right. And that's the time when something has to, that pushes you, saying, you know, push me forward and say, forget it. This is, and that's where every little bit you learn from, you push. And I know that they were just chabila going me to see, okay, how much can we push this woman? And I was like, forget it, I don't care. Do what you feel like. You want to dance naked, you can dance here. I don't care. You can, there's a whole lot of people and it's fine. So every day, and this is just one incident, there is, my factory got flooded 2 days back. You know, the heavy rain, we got a call saying, okay, 5 minutes, this thing of water. And we just have to deal with it. It just continues. And, but that's life, right? And either you enjoy it or you don't. So yeah, there are times I go home and like I sit, like cry and say, oh my God, why am I doing this? But I love it. So.
Yeah. Well, there were a couple of questions I wanted to ask you. Very quickly, if you can, I know that most of the women who are entrepreneurs generally feel that they have to make choices between the many things they would like to do and their own businesses. And you seem to have straddled all these different things quite well, and you seem to enjoy straddling it. And you're continuing to do that. And can you say a few words about how you manage it all?
Yeah, well, actually, you know what? When I was a child, when I was around 12, and I was diagnosed with epilepsy. I was I was epileptic. So, and that is something that I have had through my life. In fact, when I went to college, my mother forced me to leave the house and said, you know, you should leave the house, because if you don't leave the house now, you will be dependent on someone for the rest of your life. She pushed me out. It was my mother who actually introduced me to doing multiple things at a time when I was young. And she says something, you know, whenever you feel ill, whenever you feel sick, whenever you feel things, just do things. So I was to sing, I used to swim, I used to I danced, I played the piano, and she just got me involved in a multiple level. I mean, my mom's an amazing woman. Of things to do to just not make me feel like I am an inferior person. And I think that just pulled me through a lot of stuff, because when I went to college, she said, okay, you're in hostel, you can't go out. And ELSA had a lovely rule that you couldn't go out on your own, right? So she was very happy. So that I was always going in groups. And so she was saying, never feel inferior. I mean, your person that you are is irrespective of your disease or whatever. So I think that is what taught me a lot, and that is what made me, of course, I see my mother doing that still, and the person I am, because I realize the more I do, the better I feel, and the more I can do. And the day I say I can't do anything and sit, I really can't do anything. So, you know, you just say, okay, I can't do anything, you can't do anything. But the day when you're up and about, you say, oh my God, I can fit in 1 hour of cooking, and I can go and do a dance class, and I can come and paint something. You know, it's just that. So you just keep yourself busy, and you continue with it. And as I said, my mom's been a super inspiration to me. So yes, I like to straddle it because it keeps me happy. It teaches me all the time, and I enjoy every aspect of living life. I feel that I'm living life to the ultimate, you know, the best way. For me, as I said, unlike a lot of people, I know that as an entrepreneur, I may fail, I may not get to the goals that I have. I can try my very best, but it's the journey, and I want to love the journey. Of course, it shouldn't be that, that I'll give it my best and I will try. And of course, I'll do as much as I can. But it should not be at the expense of everything else. I should not be so focused and say, okay, this is me, and forget the enjoying part of life, of like, enjoying the growth, enjoying posting, taking pictures, doing your house. Every small step just makes a lot of difference. And so that even if I don't reach, I don't become the biggest brand in India, it doesn't matter. At least I've had fun doing it.
Yeah, the journey is important, and that's really a great message to give here. And I want, as part of that journey, the way I got to know you, Preeta, is through the work you did for migrant labor. So, and with Whitefield Rising, and that's how we connected. So, do you want to say a little bit? I mean, I would love to have you do an entire session on that. That's a different matter. But maybe you can say a few minutes, spend a few minutes on that part of your journey.
So I've always been, been handling social causes. Even as a store, a part of my entire team works with Northeast craftsmen, and I've been helping them develop, especially like basketry and all. We're working with tribal women in Pal, in Assam, and we're working with water hyacinth out there. So I've been, but in the store purposes. And when I work with Whitefield Rising, it's been very okay. Let's have one event here and there. But when COVID happened, as I said, we were locked down, and the first week, as I do so much of stuff, right? I'm constantly running around. I was really feeling low, and I felt like, okay, I don't know. I just felt like sinking feeling in my stomach, and it was my son or my niece, or between the two of them, who mentioned my grandparents were freedom fighters. My grandmother was in solitary confinement for 9 years. And they mentioned that, now I know how how my grandmother felt, because she was in solitary confinement for 9 years. And she's one of the most, she died when she was 88, and one of the most sanest and perfect women that you can ever meet. So, and I was like, okay, and I should not be complaining being stuck in this massive house and saying that I can't go out because of a disease. So I said, let me see how I can help. And then I just started getting involved. And every day as I got involved, I think I got more and more involved. As soon as you start hearing 3 cases, it becomes 5, and then 10, and then 15. And of course, the first time I went out, my husband was hysterical, because being epileptic, and maybe there's an autoimmune thing, he was like, just be careful if you're come under high risk. But I was like, okay, I will be as careful as I can. But so I got more and more involved. And I think it was one of the biggest eye-openers for me. One of the reasons I think all my people also stayed back, because it was a journey that I learned so much every day about people. And fortunately for me, I was used to dealing with the labor castes and the migrants, because as I said, I work with a lot of labor. But the kind of hardships that they went through during the COVID times, it's horrific. It's another story. But there were also so many cases of people, and I'm not talking me, who just went out of the way to help out. So there was both. So there were many people, and I think it was civic society who just pulled things out completely. They did so much of work. I met some of the most brilliant people from different realms of life, all of who came out, and from different age groups, who even there were youngsters. There was a 28-year-old who fed, I don't know how many people from his new startup. He started a restaurant, and he was with everything, and he just went around feeding people on his own, because obviously his restaurant was shut. So it was the biggest eye-opener. And I think the last 9 months, when everyone else has said that it's been horrific, it's also been, I've seen the best and the worst in people. And in a way, it's given me hope. And like right now, I'm working with the BBMP. I'm working with the Mahadevpura ward, where we do phone calls for positive patients, and we just keep, And I'm dealing with BBMP governor, people, the nodal officers, who I've abused back and forth so many times. But now I'm seeing that they're all just trying their best. There is a whole system, and it's not that you can't blame one. You can't. It's too much. Every one of them, half of them have got COVID themselves. They've all just tried. They're all trying their very best. And it's got to make change. It has to come from all of us. It has to be everyone. And I keep telling my son, the next time you complain, I'm sending you out and you do something. Don't complain without doing anything. So it may happen, it may not happen. But if you say, oh, I hate the roads, I suggest you start, go meet an officer, meet the cooperator. Don't just complain. And I think that's got me. I mean, I will never, ever complain again without going to an officer and finding out what the solution is. I'm hoping, and that's been a big learning for me.
Thank you. Preeta, this has been a terrific session with you. Thank you so much for taking us through the many facets of your journey. It's a rare one, you know, most of us are able to do only a few things in our lives, but you've done such a lot. And so there is probably a lot that people want to ask you about all the things you've said. So I'll just open it up and ask anyone from the group if they want to ask Preeta anything.
I bored everyone. They don't want to ask me anything.
We are totally. No, I think we're all just luxuriating. Honestly, like it just feels like there was so much. And now I'm actually looking around my house, and I'm like, oh, there needs to be color. Oh, you know, I need to do this. Oh, I should make my rooms multi-purpose.
Even I think what I can say, and I'm proud of that fact about me. There's very many negatives about me, and there are negatives about everybody. But I think the main thing I can say is that I don't give up. I keep pushing, and I will keep pushing, and I will keep pushing until everyone says, okay, back off. It's just that, I mean, of course, even while pushing, I might get very depressed and low and say, oh God, and I yell at my husband. My poor husband is as like with everyone else, is a sounding board, and he pushes me up. But there are days when you're like, but I will wake up again and say, okay, now what? So even with the migrant thing, Vanita, I refuse to give up. I mean, I found money to send people to go on the planes. People were just shocked that, okay, where is Preeta going to get people, you know, how? We can't even put them on the train right now, and you're talking about planes there, you know. And I was like, it's okay, someone will find. And it took me a week, but I found someone. So I just think is that you just have to keep going. That's all. And there's some you lose, some you win, some and you continue. I guess that's part of it. Nobody wants to ask me anything else.
Everyone is totally overawed.
Hi, Preeta, Pooja here. I was going to go back to your journey as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And, you know, you decided to open a store. So tell me more about that. I mean, that's a difficult journey, right? So it's, you know, it's in the retail space. You're constantly kind of updating the look and you're balancing multiple things. Yeah. So tell us more about.
It was a tough one to get into the retail space because I've never been in the retail space, and it was initially the first year actually I opened out of a small hole in the wall in Whitefield in a warehouse, and I started, you know, had pieces which I was making for people, and within 6 months I was selling out more stuff than doing so, which is why I said, okay, either I'm going to remain small and remain in one garage and keep making pieces for individuals, or I'll take the big jump and just say, okay, move and then float along with it, which is why I said, oh, let's just take the jump. Because as I said, there was two ways that I could when I opened up. In fact, there's a really funny thing that I forgot to mention. When I started off, I'd gone to SBI and I said, I wanted some capital. And I said, maybe I can ask them for a loan. And I met the SBI manager at Whitefield, and he looked at me and says, madam, very nice that you want to decorate house and all, but you do from your house. Don't take money and open business, you know. And I was really upset because he won't say that to a man. Just because I'm saying I want to do something at home doesn't mean that I have to, you know. Anyway, fortunately, I used my own capital and I didn't take a loan, but that's how it happens when you want to start your business. You know, people say, go and do it from your house. But I just said, okay, let me start. Let me see if it works. If it does, I'll move high. I'll push myself, which is what I've been doing every year. I have fixed goals and I say, okay, next year, this, and next year. So right now, in the COVID thing, when everyone else has been shut, I've been working like a lunatic because we went online. And we just started, and this goes against my principle actually to go online, because I make so many things which are custom. So even my website is like, please tell us what color, please tell me what. People are like calling up and saying, we want this, but we want it in purple, or we don't want it in thing, and we want to change the wood, which is fine. That's the way I work. So, but I have been constantly working, and to an extent that now I'm like saying that, listen, I don't have enough labor to work so much, so you'll all have to wait 45 days kind of a thing, because you know how it is. One day we open, one day we shut, one day people come. So it was a tough call, because but I was like, either I go full on or I don't. So I'm pushing it through.
Yeah, no, good thought. I think that's, you can't sort of be on the sidelines, right?
Yeah, and as I said, in 3 years, I actually don't believe, and in fact, some of you may have heard of me, some of you may not. I've actually followed more of a store that I really like, which is Anthropology. I exported to them. With Anthropology's model is something that I follow a lot, where they do not do any paid advertising. I do not pay for any advert. Whatever money that we make, I roll it back into the store, or I roll it back into a lot of development of crafts. So, which is why I said we did a lot of development of crafts in the Northeast, in Assam, with natural dye, with water hyacinth. And of course, there's much I can do because I don't have an investor. There's X amount of money that we keep putting in, but that's fine because we'll take it slowly. So the thing is, the thing is that it's not it's difficult saying that, okay, because everyone calls me up like Elle Decor, Vogue, and this is okay, we want to write about you, Preeta, but can you pay $1 lakh? And I'm like, no, can you pay that to my cast? So that's one thing that I've been trying desperately to do, and on the pipelines is trying to get free trade on, trying to get craftsmen to get paid, because all the money, whenever the money that you spend on advertising, I'm pushing it back to the crafts, to development. And of course, because I'm not so big, it will take me time before the whole circle goes on. But I think that's the model that works. That's the model that is going to push through, where the person that is gaining most is the craftsperson and not me. So even when I take stuff from the craftsmen, I'm selling it at the pricing that happens with me is I'm paying them what they deserve. I'm not undercutting them. So yes, people say, you know what, your basket is $500, I can get it at Dastakat for 100, but how much is the guy getting if you're selling it at 100? So it's the entire, which is why I started blogging, which is why I started writing, because the entire Indian philosophy has to change. And when we think that when it's handmade, when a craftsman is making it, when a potter is making it, it has to be cheap. And it has to be, so what we are doing is, what I'm trying to do is uplift the crafts a little bit, try and change the crafts. The same potter, we have tried to design something, make it a little more special. So instead of spending 10 rupees on that pot, you're spending 50. So he makes much more. So where I am trying to get across is that let the craftsman make more money. I will only get my whatever commission, which is like your regular, your 20%, which I take from him. But everyone else works in the other model, where the craftsman gets 10 and the person gets 500. And that I have checked that model out everywhere. So free trade is something which I've been working a lot, and we don't have it at all in India. It's very difficult. I can't break into it because there's too many things, but hopefully somewhere I will try. So right now I'm managing with the Northeast. We've got into a program now with a company called Ra, which is in Maharashtra, where they work with Wali and they help tribals in Wali. So which is what we're trying to do. I'm trying to get platforms all over where we can help various craftsmen achieve a higher level, but get their money. So it's a big dream. I don't know whether it'll happen, but I'm trying. And I hopefully every day I keep meeting people, pushing, and let's see. Maybe, I can only do my best.
Sounds great. All the best.
Preeta, what you're speaking about is actually really creative dignity. And, that's what is important. And we really need more people like you. I'm also involved in similar spaces. So I can understand and resonate with that. What I want to ask you is, you're an ideas person. And I've seen you run with your ideas, or whether it was even with the migrant workers. You thought something and you said, okay, I'm just going to be action oriented. So what is that drive in you that makes you take an idea and then run forward with it?
I think it's just, I don't know. I think I've been with very strong women all my life. My grandmother, my mother, they have just driven my, I think it just genetics. So with, my mother still, she's mad. She sits in various parts of the country with various potters and weavers and keeps doing it. And I think that's an inspiration that, but I don't see, the thing is that I think what I learned, and I think a lot of it is that if you don't try something, you can't say it's not doing, you can't say it doesn't work. If you don't, I mean, max you can say it didn't work out, but at least I gave it my best shot. So which is why, and I think you learn something even if you fail. In fact, you learn a lot more if you fail. So which is why for me, and I think most of the time we say that to our kids. We say that to all the time I'm telling my son, don't worry if you fail, it's okay. Pick up yourself and do. But we don't do it ourselves, right? So many a times I just say that, okay, I have to do it myself so that he follows my footsteps. So when I say I'm doing something, I try and do it. And if I fail, I say, okay, I tried. And we make little charts on why I failed and continue. So yeah, it's as I said, it's just probably be me as my own. I don't know. I think all of us are like that.
No, it's beautiful. Actually, it's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for the share.
So, Preeta, I'm feeling so inspired listening to your session, because
I don't know about that.
I think even with my film work and thing, I've always been like a solo worker. I've never like taken that step of, setting up a company or, working. I work in smaller teams. And I was reading somewhere that the thing about thinking big is that you often, when you think of what all you can do in 1 year, you're underestimating what all you can do in 10 years, because you're keeping your timeline as 1 year and not thinking of it as 10 years.
Yeah.
And
I think as an entrepreneur, Sandhya, many a times what happens is that you need to go, like what I see is that so many people open shops, so many people do something and they give up because they have two huge dreams. You can't have it, especially if you have no investor backing you. Every money counts, everything what you do matters. So you have to take it step by step. You have to take it practically as well. You can't suddenly just overnight become I mean, you can. I mean, there are people who are brilliant and hopefully they, but you can't. It has to be first year, second year, third year, and fourth year and fifth year, and then you see. Especially when I have a retail, and when you look at it, and I came in from Bombay, I don't have, like Shahrukh is not my husband, I'm not Gauri Khan. So I can't say, okay, I'm Gauri Khan and this is my furniture. And it is my blood, sweat, toil, tears. So you have to, understand, appreciate, and do the whole journey, and I'm fine with it. And it has to be in steps. And for me, it's 1 step, 2 step, 3 step, and maybe with every third step, I'll come 2 steps down, but it's okay. That's climbing a ladder is what you do.
thanks.
Yeah, Preeta, we would love to continue. And there is so much more to hear from you about the various aspects of your journey that I'm sure we haven't touched. I know there's a separate session on gardening that people can look up. Yeah, which is there. And but for today, we just
Preeta, do you sleep at all? Preeta, when do you sleep, darling? I just want to know.
I actually sleep quite a bit. I go to sleep around 12.
Acha, 24 घंटे को divide karo, please, between your different activities. I'd love to know the calendar. I mean, how do you go about the day?
A little memo to you.
Done. I need to know this. I'm wasting too much time. After listening to you, I'm now like, oh my God, there's so much one can do and I'm not able to do. So you now inspired me to move, yeah.
Each do his own. See, for me, I enjoy doing it. It's me. So if you enjoy it, I mean, there's nothing to, I mean, that's what, I mean, it's completely up to you what you like and how you like it.
I need an energy drink, sweetheart. I'm not as young as you. I'll need 3-4 energy drinks, darling.
It's not. I mean, once you get yourself out of it and say, okay, this is what I want to do, you'll actually enjoy yourself. You feel a lot more active. When you don't and you say, okay, I can't do it, and that's when I think you feel a lot. I mean, that's how I look at it. The day I don't do anything, I feel more tired. I'm exhausted and I'm like, oh my God, what have I done?
Preeta, can you tell us just a little bit about your Nepali background as well? Because you have a slight Nepali background, right?
No, I'm from the Northeast. I am
only Assamese. Okay.
I'm from Assam. Of course, we have. I have no Nepal. I have Bhutan, but not Nepal.
Okay. Because sometimes your accent just goes into that. No, every time I've tried to take a screenshot of Preeta, she's looking right upwards. So I've got about 10 shots of Preeta where she's looking right upwards towards the sky. So that's
outside,
where the darling dreams.
Right side is my window. So it's actually raining. I'll show you the window. So there's rain.
There you go. There you go.
It's beautiful, actually, the rain outside. Yeah.
Well, Preeta, thank you so much for an absolutely wonderful session. But before we call the session to a formal close, I have to call Ruchi Raman to tell us about the next ELSA Connect. Ruchi, are you there?
Yeah, thanks, Vanita. Preeta, really, I mean, I think amazing story. And I think, as Vanita said, we could break it up into 10 different stories which you could do on ELSA Connect, on all the number of things that you've done. So thank you so much and really enjoyed it. I'm here to just announce about the next speaker. That's on Tuesday. Another amazing human being. And I think we have so many ELSAs who are multifaceted. This is another one, Priya Ramasoban, who graduated 1993, eco honors, and then went on to the media world. Was with Sophia and then with Georgia State University, and has done her media studies there, and then has really worked with the History Channel, the Discovery Channel, and made number of programs, has traveled around the world. Apart from that, so that's just one facet of her, and we could do a whole ELSA Connect on that. But she's also an avid citizen activist. So she's worked on sustainable rejuvenation of lakes in Bangalore, has been a very active support. People know her in Bangalore. She's known as an activist. But this is also not what she's going to talk about. She's going to really talk about something she's passionate about, which is really, I mean, if you look around us and all the things we're managing to do, we have to agree that we are a privileged lot, right? We're doing a number of things because we can. We have the health, we have the money, we have the education. And she's really feels strongly, and actually you'll feel it when she speaks. She feels we must do something with our privileges. So Preeta is doing it, right? And that's really what she wants to talk about. How can we reflect on our privileges? So our talk is all about reflecting on our power and our privileges. We don't know how privileged we are and what is it that we can do about it, and to just reflect together. She wants to do a few exercises. It's a more interactive session, but really more thoughts on what we can do in our everyday lives with. And really, the more I look around, the more I see the privileges that we all have. So I think it's an excellent session. Really recommend all of you joining in. Preeta, if you can join in, it'll be great. So it'll be lovely. It's on Tuesday, on the 15th, next Tuesday. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for everyone. I hope I didn't bore you all.
Yeah, thank you, Ruchi, for announcing the next session. We will now close YouTube and move on to the general chit chat. If anybody wants to stay on, and Preeta, if you can spend just a few more minutes for those who wish to just ask you some more questions for your